Imagine inheriting 1,200 acres of beautiful mountain land, only to discover an entire fancy HOA neighborhood has been illegally squatting on it for 15 years. They refuse to leave, they threaten me, they smear me, but I'm not backing down. This is the full story of how I fought back and won. Stick around, you won't believe how it ends. The letter from my great-uncle's attorney arrived on a Tuesday morning, completely unremarkable except for the embossed law firm letterhead that shimmered in the sunlight streaming through my kitchen window. I'd only met Uncle Bernard twice in my life, once at a family reunion when I was 7, where he told wild stories about hidden mountain treasures, and again at my father's funeral when I was 19, where he barely spoke, just nodded solemnly. He was the family eccentric, the one who disappeared into the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina decades ago and rarely spoke to anyone. Now, apparently, he'd left me everything. I stared at the envelope, coffee growing cold in my hand. Why me? We weren't close. I didn't even know if he remembered my name. Curiosity won, and I tore it open. The words hit like a thunderclap. You are the sole beneficiary of Bernard Harper's estate. My heart raced. What could an old recluse possibly have? A dusty cabin? Some antique rifles? I had no idea this inheritance would drag me into the fight of my life. That afternoon I called the attorney, Gerald Whitmore. His voice was smooth, measured, the tone of someone who delivered shocking news many times before. Miss Harper, I understand this comes as a surprise, he said. Your great-uncle's estate consists primarily of land, approximately 1,200 acres in the Blue Ridge foothills. There's also the original farmhouse, though I should warn you, it needs considerable work. I sat down hard on my couch, mind reeling. 1,200 acres? That's bigger than some small towns. Rolling hills, dense forest, maybe a stream, I could picture it. But what would I do with it? Sell? Develop? I was a city girl, trapped in a soul-crushing corporate job, drowning in student loans. This felt like a dream, or the setup for a nightmare. Why me? I asked. He had no children, no close family left, Whitmore explained. You were the only one who ever sent him a Christmas card after your dad passed. Small gestures matter. Then came the bombshell. There is one complication, he continued, papers rustling. About 15 years ago, a residential development called Whispering Pines was built on what the developers believed was adjacent county land. Recent surveys conducted for your uncle's estate have revealed that the entire development, all 47 homes, was actually built on your great-uncle's property. My mouth went dry. I'm sorry, what? The county records were incorrect. The title company failed to catch the discrepancy. Your uncle discovered this about 3 years ago and was pursuing legal action when he passed. Legally speaking, the entire Whispering Pines HOA is trespassing on your property. Trespassing. That word echoed. These weren't people in tents, they had 2-story colonials, pools, tennis courts. How does an entire neighborhood get built on someone else's land and nobody notices for 15 years? 3 weeks later I stood at the edge of what I now knew was my property, staring down at Whispering Pines. Neat rows of cookie-cutter houses, manicured lawns, 3-car garages, decorative lampposts, the full suburban dream package. In the center, a clubhouse, sparkling pool, tennis courts, playground. All of it sitting on land that belonged to me. This is insane, I muttered, pulling out my phone to take pictures. The surveyor's report in my bag was crystal clear, red boundary lines cutting straight through their backyards. You must be Cassandra Harper. The voice was sharp, like a whip. I turned to see a woman in her 50s marching toward me, white capri pants, pink polo shirt, blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Hands on hips, expression that could curdle milk. I'm Patricia Moreland, president of the Whispering Pines Homeowners Association, she announced. We need to talk about this ridiculous claim you're making. It's not a claim, I said calmly. It's fact. The surveys don't lie. This entire development is on my property. Her face flushed red. That's absurd. We've been here 15 years. We have legal rights. Actually, you don't. I handed her the report. 3 independent surveyors confirmed it. County records were wrong. Your developer built on private land without permission. This is our home, she shrieked. You can't just kick us out. We'll sue you into oblivion. I met her gaze. Feel free. But I suggest you sue your developer and title company instead. They're the ones who messed up. I'm simply claiming what's legally mine. She stormed off, muttering threats. That was just the beginning. Over the next week, I learned how vicious an HOA can get when threatened. Patricia launched a smear campaign. Letters went to every resident. Greedy outsider Cassandra Harper wants to steal your homes. Fight back. According to an anonymous resident who texted me, at the neighborhood meeting she compared me to every historical villain imaginable. Then came intimidation. I'd moved into Uncle Bernard's farmhouse, charming but dilapidated, about a quarter-mile from the development. One morning I woke to 3 pickup trucks blocking my driveway. Several men stood around, arms crossed, trying to look menacing. I walked onto the porch with my coffee, deliberately casual. Can I help you, gentlemen? You need to drop this land nonsense, the leader called, balding, 40s, goatee that probably looked better in his head. We're not going anywhere. And blocking my driveway is supposed to convince me, how exactly? This is a warning, he said. Things could get difficult for you out here. Accidents happen on properties this big. I pulled out my phone and started recording, very visibly. I want to make sure I have this on camera. You're threatening me with violence if I don't surrender my legal property rights. Is that correct? They exchanged uncomfortable glances. Also, just so you know, the county sheriff is my attorney's brother-in-law. He's very interested in this case. Technically true, Whitmore had mentioned it casually. The trucks were gone in 5 minutes. But Patricia wasn't finished. 3 days later she appeared at my door with a fake smile and a covered dish. I thought we got off on the wrong foot, she said sweetly. I brought you a casserole. I took it warily. Thank you. Cassandra, may I call you Cassandra? We're reasonable people. We understand you have legal ownership, technically. But surely we can work something out. The HOA is prepared to offer you $50,000 to quitclaim the land to us. I almost laughed. $50,000 for 1,200 acres of prime real estate with an entire development on it? Her sweetness evaporated. Well, what do you want then? What's mine, I said simply, and compensation for 15 years of unauthorized use. Her mask dropped completely. You're making a huge mistake. We have lawyers. We have resources. We'll tie you up in court for years. Go ahead, I replied. My attorney is working on contingency because he knows this is an open and shut case. How much will your HOA spend on legal fees before your members turn on you? I closed the door on her sputtering outrage. The real turning point came from an unexpected source. A man named Robert Chin knocked on my door a few days later. Unlike Patricia, he looked genuinely worried, not angry. Ms. Harper, I'm a real estate attorney, one of the Whispering Pines residents. Not representing the HOA. This is personal. I invited him in. We talked for 2 hours. I've reviewed the surveys and records, he said. Your claim is ironclad. I've been talking to other residents, the ones Patricia doesn't control. We want to negotiate a real solution, not the insulting offer she made. It turned out Patricia and her inner circle of 4 board members had known about Uncle Bernard's lawsuit years earlier but hid it from the general membership, gambling he'd die before it concluded. They bet wrong. Robert helped spread the truth quietly. When residents learned the board had concealed the risk to their homes, fury erupted. A special HOA meeting was called, one Patricia couldn't control. She tried banging her gavel, shouting witch hunt. But the evidence was overwhelming, old emails, secret minutes. Votes poured in. Patricia and her allies were removed from the board. Robert was elected president. With the old guard gone, real negotiations began. We met multiple times over 3 months. The final agreement was fair. The HOA purchased the 120 acres actually occupied by the development for $2.4 million, $20,000 per acre, full market rate. They paid $450,000 in back rent for 15 years of unauthorized use. Funding came from special assessments on homeowners, insurance payouts from the developer's errors and omissions policy, and a successful lawsuit against the title company that missed the original error. Patricia and her co-conspirators were personally sued by HOA members for breach of fiduciary duty. They settled out of court for substantial amounts. Last I heard, Patricia sold her house at a loss and moved to Florida, probably terrorizing a new HOA down there. As for me, I kept the remaining 1,080 acres. I sold 500 acres to a conservation trust, permanently protecting the forest. With that money plus the settlement, I paid off my student loans, quit my corporate job with 0 notice, and fully renovated Uncle Bernard's farmhouse, new roof, modern kitchen, solar panels, the works. I'm writing this from the porch right now, looking out over hundreds of acres of rolling hills and trees. In the distance I can just see the rooflines of whispering pines. We're cordial neighbors now. Robert and I have become friends. Some residents wave when they drive past. No drama anymore. Looking back, Uncle Bernard gave me more than land. He gave me the backbone to stand up for what's rightfully mine, no matter how many Karens come knocking, no matter the threats, no matter the smear campaigns. Sometimes the most valuable inheritance isn't money or acres. It's the courage to say, this is mine. And I'm not playing nice until I get it. What would you have done in my situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever dealt with an entitled HOA, inherited something messy, or had to fight for what's yours? Your stories might inspire the next video. If you enjoyed this roller coaster, like, subscribe, hit the bell. More real-life revenge, justice, and underdog wins coming soon. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next one.